Okay, so think about this for a second. You're online and you're about to buy something, that thing you've had your eye on. Where do you go first?
Hmm, I know where I go.
Amazon. Right.
Yep.
Every time.
Or a quick Google search. It's just amazing how we automatically go to those places first when we're shopping online.
It's like they're programmed into us at this point.
And that's exactly what today's deep dive is all about. SEO.
Ah, yes, SEO.
We're going to really get into why search engine optimization is more important than ever.
Even in 2025.
Exactly, even in the crazy world of 2025. And we're using this awesome guide. SEO is changing and adapting to stuff like AI.
AI is changing everything.
And even voice search, those things we all use all the time.
Yeah, it's like this guide is our roadmap through the SEO jungle. It really lays out all the key changes and challenges we need to know about.
I know, it's such a good resource. Okay, I think we should start with the basics.
Makes sense. What exactly is SEO?
The million-dollar question.
We hear it everywhere, but I think it's really helpful to break it down.
Absolutely. So SEO stands for search engine optimization.
Okay.
And essentially, it's all about, well, making your website more attractive to search engines.
Like Google.
Yeah, Google, Bing, all of them.
Gotcha.
But the big one is obviously Google. The goal with SEO is to rank higher in those search results.
Huh?
You know those pages you see when you search for something?
Right.
The higher you rank, the more people are going to click on your site.
So it's not just about, like, I don't know, randomly throwing in keywords everywhere.
Nope, it's way more than that. It's a whole strategy.
There's a real art to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more important every day. Just think about it. Google basically controls like 91% of the whole global search engine market.
Wow, seriously.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I think that stat came out a few years ago from a Bright Edge study. But Google's grip hasn't really loosened up.
So it's still true.
Oh yeah, so if your website isn't showing up on Google, you're missing out on a huge audience.
That makes sense. I mean, it could be your business, your blog, anything you have online, you want people to see it.
Exactly, whatever you're putting out there.
Okay, that stat really makes you think. No wonder everyone's obsessed with SEO these days. But, I've also heard other terms like SEM and PPC thrown around.
Yeah, those get tossed into the mix a lot.
Where do those fit in?
Good question. So SEM stands for, get this, search engine marketing.
Okay.
And that's actually the broader term. It covers both SEO, that organic search stuff we were talking about,
Right.
and paid advertising, which is where PPC comes in, pay-per-click.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connections. So with SEO, you're working your way up in the search results by making your website better. But with PPC, you're basically buying your way to the top, right?
Exactly. PPC is like a shortcut. You
Yep.
pay for ads that target specific keywords, and they pop up at the top of the page.
So which one's better, SEO or PPC? It's like comparing apples and oranges.
It depends, really. It all comes down to your goals and what you can spend. SEO is kind of like a long-term game.
Okay.
It takes time to build up your website's, street cred with Google and to get those organic rankings.
I see.
But PPC, on the other hand,
Yeah.
that can give you faster results.
Yeah.
But you got to keep paying to keep those ads running.
It's a trade-off. Like, do you want to build a solid house over time or get that instant boost?
Exactly.
And, this guide brought up something really interesting about how people are shopping online now. They said that in the first quarter of 2023, a whopping 63% of U.S. shoppers started their search on Amazon.
Wow.
That's a huge change, right?
It is. It's like Amazon has become its own search engine these days.
Mhm.
Businesses can't just focus on Google anymore.
Makes sense.
They need to think about where their customers are actually starting their searches and adjust their strategies accordingly.
Yeah, it's like the whole SEO game just got a whole lot bigger.
It really has.
And speaking of platforms kind of challenging Google's dominance, what about social media?
Oh, social media is a big one. People are using it as a search tool more and more.
I know, right?
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, they're all becoming the go-to for finding stuff out or checking out reviews.
It's true. How many times have you searched for a recipe on TikTok or watched a product review on YouTube? I do it all the time.
Right. It's like our instinct is to go to these platforms for quick visual answers.
And they're fun to watch.
Exactly. And that means SEO has to change too. It's not just about words on a website anymore. It's about creating those cool videos, using the right hashtags, and really building a presence where people are actually searching.
So SEO is becoming less about one specific platform
Exactly.
and more about like a strategy for being visible everywhere online.
That's it. You've got it. It's about creating a brand experience across all channels.
Your website, your social media, even your Amazon store.
You've got to be everywhere if you want to stand out.
It's a lot to keep up with.
You said it. But this guide really helps break it all down.
It does. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. Now let's get into the specifics. What are the things people actually need to do to win at SEO in 2025? It's like we're talking about a whole new level of online strategy.
It is. It's a whole new ballgame.
It's not just about your website anymore.
Exactly.
You have to think bigger.
So traditional SEO, the foundation of, making your website awesome for search engines,
Right.
that's still really important.
Okay.
But it's becoming something much bigger. It's about creating a brand that people recognize and connect with across different platforms. It's not just about keywords and links anymore.
I like that, building a brand. It's like you're creating an identity online that people trust and want to engage with. But okay, let's zoom in for a sec. When
Yeah.
we talk about traditional SEO, those core elements,
Right.
what are the things that are still super important, even in 2025?
Well, it really comes down to two main areas: on-site and off-site SEO. On-site SEO is all about the stuff you do on your actual website to make it easy for search engines to understand what's going on. So you're talking about clear page titles, headings that make sense, optimizing your images, and making sure your site works great on mobile devices. Like when people are browsing on their phones.
Right. Got to have a mobile-friendly site these days.
It's essential. And of course, it's about the content you create. It's got to be high quality and use those relevant keywords in a way that feels natural, not forced.
Gotcha. So it's like you're making sure your website is a well-organized library,
I like that analogy.
one that Google can easily walk into, browse, and understand what's on the shelves.
Exactly. The easier it is for those search engines to crawl through your site and index everything, the better your chances of ranking well.
Makes sense.
But then there's offsite SEO, which is all about building your website's authority and reputation outside of your own little corner of the internet. And this is where backlinks come in.
Ah, yes, backlinks. I've heard that term thrown around a lot. Those are the links from other websites that point back to yours.
You got it. And
Yeah.
they're super important.
Why is that?
Think of it like a vote of confidence. When another website, especially a really credible one, links back to you, it's like they're giving you a thumbs up. And Google sees that as a sign that your site is trustworthy and valuable. It's kind of like getting a recommendation from a friend. Hey, check out this site. It's great.
So it's not just about having a ton of backlinks.
Nope.
It's about having quality backlinks.
You hit the nail on the head. A link from a well-known website, especially one in your industry, carries way more weight than a bunch of random links from who knows where.
Makes sense. It's like the difference between getting a rave review from a top critic or just a bunch of random comments on social media.
Exactly.
Oh, and speaking of social media, that plays into offsite SEO too, doesn't it?
For sure.
Hey.
Having active social media profiles can actually boost your website's authority and visibility. It's another way to connect with your audience, share your content, and ultimately drive more traffic back to your website.
So it all comes back to this idea of creating a strong brand presence across all these different online spaces.
It's about weaving it all together. Your website, your social media, everything should work together to tell a consistent and engaging brand story.
I see. But wait, we can't forget about the techie side of things.
Oh, right. We've talked about content and backlinks and all that.
Right.
But what about how your website actually functions? The nuts and bolts.
Yeah, that's the part that always seems kind of scary to me. Technical SEO.
I get it. It can feel intimidating. But don't worry, we'll break it down. So in 2025, one of the most important things is site speed.
How fast your website loads.
You got it. Google has made it super clear that they favor websites that load quickly and provide a good user experience. Think about it. Have you ever clicked on a website that took forever to load?
Ugh. Yeah,
Um,
all the time. And you know what? I usually just hit that back button and go to a different site.
Exactly. And that's what Google is trying to avoid.
Mm.
They want to show people websites that they'll actually stick around and browse. So if your site is slow or clunky, you're going to see people bouncing off it left and right.
Hmm.
And that can hurt your rankings.
Yikes. So how do you even know if your site is up to speed? Are there tools or something that can tell you?
Absolutely. Google actually has this awesome free tool called Page Speed Insights. Just plug in your website, and it analyzes everything and gives you specific tips on how to make it faster.
That's cool.
And there are other tools too, like GTmetrix and Pingdom, that can give you even more detailed insights.
So even if you're not a tech expert, you can still figure out how to make your website faster.
For sure. There are resources out there to help you.
That's good to know. Okay, another thing I've always been kind of confused about is structured data.
Ah, yes. Structured data.
It sounds so technical and complicated, but is it something we need to worry about for SEO?
It's definitely important, but it's not as scary as it sounds. Basically, structured data is a way of organizing information on your website so that search engines can understand it better.
So it's like giving Google a cheat sheet for your website.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You're basically giving them clear labels and instructions so they know exactly what's what on your pages.
I see. Can you give me an example of how that might actually work?
Sure. Imagine you have a website with a bunch of recipes on it.
Okay, yummy.
You can use structured data to mark up the ingredients, cooking time, nutritional information, even reviews of the recipe. And then what happens is Google can use that information to show it directly in the search results. So when someone searches for chocolate chip cookie recipe, your listing might show up with those details right there, making it way more appealing and informative.
That's brilliant. So instead of just hoping Google figures out what your website is about, you're being proactive and telling them exactly what's important.
Exactly. You're in control. And that can make a huge difference in how your site shows up in those search results and how well it ranks.
Okay, this is really making me realize that there's so much more to SEO than just like cramming keywords into your content.
That's a whole art form.
And speaking of evolving beyond keywords, what about content in general? Content is king, right? But how does that idea play out in the world of SEO in 2025?
Oh, content is still absolutely crucial. It's the heart and soul of SEO. But just like everything else, it's evolving too.
How so?
It's not enough to just stuff a bunch of keywords onto your pages and call it a day. Search engines, especially Google, are getting much smarter. They can tell when content is actually high quality and valuable to readers.
So it's less about trying to trick the system and more about genuinely providing something useful for your audience.
That's it. You have to understand what your audience wants, answer their questions, and give them information that's interesting, informative, and relevant to their lives.
It's about being helpful, not just sneaky.
Exactly.
And, we can't talk about understanding audience needs without mentioning AI. How is AI changing the whole content landscape? I remember the guide mentioned something called Generative AI Google Optimization, or GEO.
Oh, yeah, GEO. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's a fascinating new area of content optimization.
What is it exactly?
It's about using those powerful AI tools like ChatGPT, the one everyone's talking about, to create content that's optimized for both people and search engines.
So we're talking about AI writing blog posts and website copy now.
Yep. AI can generate different types of content, tailor the language and tone to specific audiences, and even come up with fresh ideas.
Wow, it's like having a super-powered writing assistant.
That's a great way to think about it. But it's important to remember that AI is still just a tool.
Okay.
It can help us be more efficient and creative, but it doesn't replace the human element. The best content still needs that human touch, that spark of creativity and strategic thinking.
So it's not about AI versus humans.
Right.
It's about AI and humans working together.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where we can use AI to enhance our skills and make our content even better.
I like that. It's like having a co-pilot that can handle some of the technical stuff, but still needs a human pilot to steer the ship.
I love that analogy. It's a partnership, not a takeover.
Okay, so AI can be our friend, not our enemy.
Definitely. But we have to use it wisely and ethically, of course.
Of course. Well, we've talked a lot about the what of SEO, but let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the how. How do these search engines actually find and rank all these websites out there? What's the magic behind the curtain?
Yeah, it's like this whole secret world going on that we don't even see.
It really is. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. So first, it all starts with crawling. Search engines use these little digital robots called crawlers.
Crawlers, huh?
Yeah, they basically just scour the web 24/7, following links from one page to another, discovering new content, and checking back on old content to see if anything's changed.
Wow, so they never stop.
Nope. They're like those little Roomba vacuums, but for the internet.
I love that. Always on the move.
And as they're crawling, they're also indexing. That means they're analyzing the content on every page and storing all that information in a gigantic database. You could think of it like a massive library catalog,
Okay.
where each website is a book, neatly categorized and ready to be found.
So crawling is like finding all the books and indexing is like putting them on the shelves. Yeah. That's a great way to think about it.
But what about ranking? That's where the real competition starts, right?
Exactly. Ranking is where it all comes together. So when someone types in a search query,
Like when you search for something on Google.
yep, Google's algorithm looks through that massive index we were talking about
Okay.
and tries to find the pages that are the most relevant and authoritative for that specific search.
And that's where all our SEO work comes in.
You got it. The better your SEO, the higher your website will rank in those search results, hopefully.
It's like you're fighting for that prime spot on the top shelf where everyone can easily see you.
Exactly. And the higher you rank, the more people are going to see your website, which means more potential customers, clients, readers, whoever you're trying to reach.
Makes sense. It's amazing how much is going on behind a simple Google search. But it also makes sense. There's so much information out there, you need some way to organize it all and figure out what's important.
Exactly. You need a system. And the thing about that system is that it's constantly evolving.
Right.
Search engine algorithms are always being updated and tweaked
To keep up with everything.
to better understand what people are searching for,
Right.
to
Right.
fight spam,
Okay.
and ultimately to show the best, most relevant results to users. And that's why it's so important to stay up to date with the latest SEO trends and best practices.
So you can't just do SEO once and then forget about it.
Oh, no, it's definitely not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You have to stay on top of it.
It sounds like SEO is just as much about adapting and learning as it is about like the technical stuff.
It absolutely is. It's always changing. You have to be curious, try new things, and be ready to adjust your approach as you go.
Got it. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive, but I have one final question.
Shoot.
Is all this SEO stuff even worth it in 2025? With all these platforms and changes and everything, will it really make a difference?
That's a great question. And honestly, I think it's more important than ever. The digital landscape is only getting more and more competitive, and a strong SEO strategy is what helps you stand out from the crowd.
So it's not just something that's nice to have.
It's a must-have for anyone who wants to succeed online. Think about it. SEO is an investment in your online presence. The more effort you put into it, the more likely you are to reach your goals.
It's like building a bridge between your awesome content and the people who are searching for it.
I love that. SEO is the bridge.
And you need that bridge if you want people to find you. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, a blogger, an artist, a musician.
Anyone, really.
If you have something to share online, SEO is your ticket to getting seen and heard.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think we did it. I think we finally cracked the code on SEO in 2025. We went from the basics all the way to the ever-changing landscape of search, and we talked about how crucial it is for anyone who wants to make a real impact online.
We saw how SEO has become about so much more than just keywords and algorithms. It's about building a brand, creating content that people actually want to read and watch, and making sure those websites work seamlessly for everyone.
Absolutely. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listener to walk away with?
I would say, don't think of SEO as some scary, complicated thing. Think of it as an exciting opportunity. It's a chance to connect with people, create a strong online presence, and achieve your dreams, whatever those might be.
So to our listener out there, remember, SEO is more than just algorithms and technical stuff. It's about connecting with your audience, building a brand that feels authentic, and creating valuable content that makes a difference.
And never stop learning and experimenting, Keep pushing those boundaries and see what's possible.
And hey, maybe you'll even be the one shaping the future of SEO. That's a wrap on this deep dive into SEO in 2025. Thanks for joining us, and happy optimizing.